I have not had nearly as much time to worry about this wizard game as I would have liked to in the last who knows how long. Anyway, hello all the crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. And today we're going to do climbing. I've been saying I was going to get to this for like a month, and I think it's time to actually finally get to it. So, if I run this, run the game, we've got some basic like player actions going on. We have the ability to jump on things and appropriately like jump on things and land on things and fall and that kind of thing. And we appear to have a bug in jumping. That's fun. All right, add that to the pile of things I'm gonna have to fix later. I also dealt with moving platforms like this, so we can ride up and down moving platforms like this. And all right, that's great. I love it when that happens. There's definitely some movement bugs that are gonna have to be dealt with probably soon. But today I'm gonna do climbing, because I'm tired of putting that off, and I'd like to actually finally get to climbing. I appear to have written down some notes here. Special collision shapes should be attached to the tops of objects that you can climb on. I believe I did that. Let me look at the this thing here. Yeah, the box, for example, has a special collision shape on top of it, and that is what is detecting a collision with basically the front of the player's face, and printing out a message in the console when a collision is detected there. So I guess we can start checking things off. If the player collides with a special collision shape, they'll enter a climbing state. That's probably what most of the work today is going to be. In the climbing state, the player will move upwards until they are no longer colliding with the climbing collide. That's a thing to say out loud. All right. I also have left a note. This may cause the player to be able to climb through solid things that are above them, and when we are designing levels, we should try to avoid situations where that will happen, naturally. Okay. This is one of those things that I definitely feel like it's going to be easier said than done. Let's see. So we have airborne state, and we have the default state. I believe I'm gonna want. So when you handle climbing, and this is going to be a method that's just like called from the player's like default state and stuff. If you detect a collision with the player's like nose and the climbable objects, that's just right now going to spit out a message in the console. What I can do otherwise is change the state to the climbing state, and I can add a climbing state. All right, I'm gonna have to add to the snow state system, and we're gonna have a few like enter, leave, and update, events. So I'm going to leave these printouts here for debugging purposes, and let's see. So let's initialize ourselves a climbing speed, and let's start out by self.y plus equals climb speed, and that's gonna make us go in the air, right? That's gonna make us go in the air when we hit something, and yeah, that's not really what I want to do. Oh, also we're continuing our like horizontal motion, so I probably should cancel the horizontal motion. Self.x speed and z speed should be set to 0 when we do this, and that's the airborne state. All right, don't do that. Do this in the climbing state. I'm also going to slow that down because I'd like to actually be able to like see what's happening when I climb on something and not have it go very fast. Yeah, see, like that. Gonna have to think about this. And I'm gonna start by just committing the new climbing state, and that's gonna be something to think about. So something else that's been on my mind, and this isn't something that I don't think I've talked about yet, but When it comes to falling, and I think this is gonna like play a role in climbing as well. But when it comes to falling, the player can sort of falls awkwardly off the sides of things due to our spherical collision boxes, and I think like when I move sideways off this box, you can see that the spherical collision box causes me to kind of get stuck and like fall slowly. And I think actually to detect when I should be like finished climbing, we can address this in similar ways. So let's basically put a platform under the player's feet, and I'm going to make this a box. We can make X, Y, and Z just like the origin. We can make the scale, X can be like something like this. And this is going to give us a bit of a platform underneath the player's feet. And we can use this in grounded checks so that, maybe should I make it smaller? Nah, I'll leave it like that for now. We can use this in grounded checks instead of the player's spherical collision box, and that can give us like a flat surface to climb on. And we can also, I think, use something like this. This might be overkill. There might be a simpler way to do this, but use something like this to like figure out when the player ascends over the top of whatever they're climbing on. Let's see. I'm also going to want to move this actually like out a little bit so that it's actually on the ground, not like inside the ground, because that'll make figuring out if you're floored or not a little awkward. And I'm also going to rename this. Let's call that pound grounded. A ground pound, if you will. And we can use that as a special collision shape. Where is my project file? We can use that as a special collision shape and reference it to do things like better grounded checks. Okay, this may not end up being like directly related to climbing, but I do want to do it now because it's a similar subject matter dealing with figuring out like if your feet are on the ground, and it may end up being relevant. Anyway, where have we implemented is grounded? Is that in the NPC? All right, that's in the NPC. Let's see. So the other special collision objects that I've got for various things is going to be Oh, generalizing this stuff is such a pain sometimes. We're going to save the collision shape with the name of pound grounded, and we're going to reference. We're going to use that as the object that we're checking in our is grounded check over here. And thinking about it a little bit, since the NPCs where is grounded is implemented don't have like, at least not at the current moment, don't have like a collision information or a mesh information or anything like that. Should I have the player like override the grounded check like this, and then like we have our I still feel like I should organize this a little better. Our player grounded collision, and we can check if the collision shape's name is grounded, and then from there we can like do this, but we'll also need to like store the offset of, oh, you know what? All right, wait. Might have just had a better idea. Instead of having the grounded check be offset like that, we can actually just give that a radius of or a scale of 1 to make it completely flat, and then over here, instead of like subtracting 1, doing the check, and then adding 1, we can actually just like let the thickness of that platform be the like the vertical offset like this. Okay, that's probably the more straightforward solution. Probably should leave a comment about that though, because I'm definitely going to forget about that. If I don't. Anyway, self.y is less than or equal to 0, return true. Otherwise, return obj game dot collision dot check object. See object grounded, and we're going to simply need to update the position of this dot shape dot position dot x is going to be self dot x, y, and z. Okay. This might be all I need to do to make like landing on things a little bit less painful. That definitely just crashed the game. Okay. Why? Why did that just crash the game? If that was gonna crash the game, I feel like that wouldn't have like crashed it here. Is this like undefined? Did I misspell that or something? I don't think so. Alright, breaking out the debugger and looking at exactly where this is going. I can look at the variables in the debugger and I can see like shape definitely has this get min, get max, get all that sort of thing. Oh, I know why that is. All right. I realize why that is. And that is because once again I am I have like the boxes that are loaded from the file don't automatically get turned into like collision shapes. That's something that I have a feeling is gonna like totally come back to bite me many times in the future. Anyway, player grounded collision dot position. We can turn this into an actual call ab, and it is dot scale is the other one. Okay. And we did it again with the vectors. I feel like a better go between these two systems is warranted. And again, said several times, this is why it's probably a good thing that I'm like, there we go. Probably a good thing that I'm doing this so that one, I can like test the robustness of the 3D collision system, and two, so that I can like test the like robustness of the like the collision shapes and penguin and all that. Anyway, so that sent me into the climbing state. That's fine. Didn't actually mean to do that, but you did see that I am no longer like falling awkwardly sideways off of the edges of blocks, because the game like no longer is trying to like treat me as a sphere for purposes of falling. It's still not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better than it was before. So can I get on here? Thank you. And we can fall. Yay. All right, that definitely looks better. Things like NPCs and monsters and whatever probably will get similar treatment eventually, but for now, the player is the only thing in the game. So we'll be sticking with the player for now. Okay. So how we know when we're done climbing is kind of going to be a thing. And I think maybe instead of doing what I said before with like checking if like the shape is above whatever you like grabbed hold of or whatever, we can instead just like check to see if the player's position is above it or whatever, and like making this actually looks like something when we actually have like player art is going to be whole thing. Not looking forward to, but it's going to have to get done. Let's see. Can I keep track of the object that I'm climbing on? Like, the object that I, like, grabbed hold of? And then, like, when we... And check object is now going to return an instance ID, right? Yeah, check object is going to return, like, a reference to whatever object you grabbed onto here. Okay, what did I call it? Climbing target. And then, so if we're going to keep track of what object we are currently like grabbing hold of, we can in the update of the climbing state, if self.y is greater than or equal to the wow. self.climbingTarget.y, and we're gonna have to like add a little bit to that for purposes of like the thickness of the climbing target. We can change back to our default state. And probably it would be a good idea to reset this to undefined. Let's see. This should at least have us like stop when we get to the top of something. Nope, you did not like that. That is because climbing target is an object and like a call object, and I need to say like shape.position.y instead of just climbing target.y. Alright, so I just fell back down. I just like gravitied back down, and that is because when I finish climbing, I'm not like moving forward, you know, to actually move onto the thing that I'm climbing onto. And there probably should be another state that's like climbing like advanced or something like that. But the general idea works, and I think the add climbing advance. These are just strings. You don't have to like. You can have spaces in these if you want. It is a bit of a force of habit to like to treat them like variable names, though. Get rid of that debug message because these are kind of like two related states. Let's say that we want to move like 8 world space units forward. And we'll still move forward at a speed of 1. 0 our x, y, z speed. We can deal with the rest of that in a minute. We can, every time we move, we can subtract the amount that we moved from the amount that we have to advance. And then if we can move forward by that amount, and then if the amount we have to advance is less than or equal to 0, we can actually go back to the default state. Next, I just need to actually like figure out how that's gonna work. The forward direction is going to be, all right, it's just going to be self.direction, right? And then I can say Like, we can do our sines and our cosines. Y, Z, D, cos, D, sine. Like this. That'll be good. I'll probably have to mess around with the actual values a lot. And then, obviously, when I'm done with this, I'll have to, like, clean up the code a bit. Alright, so we did go forward. I feel like my... See, I have a left-handed coordinate system. So X is going out. Like if I hold up my left hand, X is going out to the right, Y is going up in the air, Z is going forward. I feel like that should be correct here. When you go forward, yeah, but I didn't move in the right direction here. First, let's add the thickness of the climbing target into the equation there. I might have to divide that by 2. Dot. Oh, for the love of God. Anyway, I might have to divide that by 2. What is wrong here? It's an ob. It's not an ab. This will not work very well at all for rotating on things that are like rotated. Okay. Oh, you know what? You know what happened is that I did advance and like, oh no, am I not? There's definitely a sign that's like flipped somewhere. I think that's gonna be the Z. Boy, you all think like I know what I'm doing when I make the regular game dev videos, and then I get into something like this, and I'm like, why is basic math not working? Alright, that was forward. That was forward. Like, if I hit you at like a glancing angle, that's forward. Alright. We've got climbing, and we've also, yeah, we're, oh no, please. The, I'm like just barely. Should that be a greater than instead of a greater than or equal to? I think that should be a greater than instead of a greater than or equal to. For all the planning that I did and whatever at the beginning of the series, like the dumbest things keep me from like making progress, and like basic math fails and that kind of nonsense. Okay. So, I feel like I'm like... I'm doing an extra little bit of falling. When I leave the climb state, which makes me think that like it's not the height of the block that's the problem. All right. We've got ourselves a bit of a like coyote time here because of the grounded platform. Anyway, this is more or less what I had in mind progress-wise for today. The recording has been going for 37 minutes. I feel like I definitely need to tidy some code up before I can call the video. So let's just make a commit. Climbing works. First, let me start by let's say getting rid of some magic numbers here. Climb speed can be like 60. Am I actually losing my mind? Am I not doing anything with delta time in this project? Oh, wow. Okay, apparently I'm not. How did that happen? I have like a... Okay. I'll get rid of this too because that's just gonna clutter up the console. I have like a love-hate relationship with delta time. I like it. I like the concept of delta time. I like not having to worry about like what your game's frame rate is. But instead of doing like real delta time, taking into account like games lag and stuff, I usually will just go with like the inverse frame time. Multiply all my movements by the inverse frame time. And if your game lags, it lags, but, huh. Alright, anyway, I definitely can stand to start organizing all these, like, special collision object setup things down here at the bottom. Like the camera target and all the other things. The camera itself can be defined like elsewhere. I don't know why that's defined in the middle of the special collision objects. Well, I do know why, which is that it wasn't. It was at the bottom of that, and then I added another one underneath it. And then there's like all these all these methods down here for handling jump and all that. Okay. Yeah, I definitely feel like imminently I will be multiplying all these values by like a time step eventually. Anything else that I should clean up while I'm here? Alright. So I'm going to call it for here for today. This is going to be the 0.17 tag. Look for that in the GitHub repository if you're following along and want to play around with this project at a particular point in time. Going back to Codecks, I think I can mark this as at least mostly complete. Like the animations for climbing is gonna, I can put that in the done pile. Archiving the cards isn't really what I want, right? I want it in the done pile because archiving the cards is like quasi-deleting them. Next time, I wanted to move on to some just chores, finishing up the basic gameplay milestone here, and possibly getting on to talking about the Unity import a little bit. But I think there's the pile of movement-related bugs and bits of weirdness has been accumulating, and it's probably about time that I start addressing some of those. There's also the matter of like fake shadows. I talked about like not doing slopes a couple videos ago, and like that really, one, people want to see slopes, and I don't want to just like ignore that. And two, like not implementing slopes in the game also does cut out things like easy stairs, which are really slopes in like the real world sense, but inside, like as far as the game is concerned, I'll be treating them as such. And that's definitely kind of a big omission, and like for the sake of completeness, I do want to do slopes, but like really gonna have to think a little bit about making them like suck less than the first time I tried doing them. So I'm gonna have to sleep on that a little bit. Probably save that for later after I fix all the bugs and implement my fake shadows and whatever and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me for today. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week. One, let's make a game like this, and one tutorial, usually focused on the weirder 3D-ish things you can do in GameMaker. So if any of that appeals to you, feel free to subscribe. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute to the channel, links to that can be found in all the usual places. Otherwise, I hope you all enjoy this, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Zenjamin, VitroV, Squarecrow, Syndra Larson, Manta Ray, GameMaker, Edward Holt, DJ Gibbles, and Army Armbruster for supporting these videos. If you want to contribute to the channel, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.